Coming to you from the Nightbreed Studios, it's the Nightbreed Cast, with your hosts, Eyes Adrift and Avago.
Yes, Nightbreed Cast number 3. I'm Eyes Adrift.
And I'm Ovigo.
We're here yet again. We figure we're going to be doing these every Tuesday and probably upload them every Wednesday. So, get used to us. We ain't going nowhere.
That's right.
So, first topic, it was a little skimpy this week, so it's going to be a rather short cast because Av has to go at about 9. How much should the world in EQN change between day and night? What do you think, Av?
Well, I thought the discussions were very interesting. A lot of people, I guess they wanted it to be a lot more dangerous at night. Mm-hmm. And while I kind of agree, but I also disagree, I think that the AI should take care of the danger level, right. Just simply because with the adaptive AI, all of your nocturnal creatures, the things that come out at night are going to come out at night, and it's going to make it more dangerous. Right. Just to make stuff come out at night to make it more dangerous just seems a bit forced to me if you're going to have this great AI system. Right. So I just think, like at night, the thieves and the assassins come out in the cities and lurk in the shadows, and all the dangerous night creatures like Tolkienish trolls would be coming out at night, and then hiding before daylight, that type of thing. So
yeah, then that's
I think
really
that
cool.
Makes a lot more sense.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it was more of one of those bullshit type questions just to keep us a little busy.
Right.
Because I think they know what they're going to do and they're going to do it anyway. But it's just kind of like one of those things where in case someone says something really cool, they will implement it right away.
Right. Yeah. Just maybe try to get some ideas or what have you.
Yeah, I don't think it really should change all that much, especially if I got to turn in a quest. I don't want to wait until morning just because some dude's fucking sleeping, or just because the spawn only comes out, at dawn,
Right.
I don't think it should impact your quests unless there is a specific, and they tell you right at the quest line, there's a specific quest, you need to do this at night, and all these quests are going to be towards the night, and you have to do these during the night. That would be pretty cool if they end up doing shit like that. I think that'd be really neat.
Right. Which, it could wind up being like that, because if that type of creature may only come out at night, so maybe it comes out into the wilderness or whatever at night and hides in caves during the day, or, whatever.
Yeah.
Just so it's always in dark of some kind.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
I really think that would be very cool.
Absolutely.
And it would require a little thought and a little scouting and a little figuring out, well, where the heck do they hang out in the daytime? Like you're out one night, trying to find something, and you get jumped by these trolls or whatever, and they kick your butt, and then you try to find them, and the next day or whatever. So you have to track them and figure out where the heck their troll cave is.
Exactly. That would be sweet if you could do like a preemptive strike while they're sleeping, and then just kind of stick them in the ass with your sword.
Right. Yeah. Yep, definitely add the with your sword.
Yes.
That would be very cool to have systems like that. I really think that would be cool. It would add a little flavor to the game.
Mm.
That's why I think adaptive AI, what are they calling it? Emergent AI.
Emergent AI. Okay, there you go.
I just really think it would be cool if for the emergent AI to take care of when it's dangerous and when it's not, because those mobs will be coming out.
Right. Also,
and they'll be hiding during the day.
Yeah. Also, how long do you think a typical EQN day should be and night? Should it be like an hour and a half daytime, like an hour night of real time?
I don't know about real time. Maybe, I don't know. It's a definite question. Usually, I always find that in a lot of these games, the night's always shorter than the day.
Right.
Just because it gets so freaking dark and it kind of sucks. But, technically speaking, depending on the time of the year, the day gets longer, the night gets shorter. So, and then the opposite happens.
Is that emergent AI of the whole system going to be, or the weather system, the whatever you would call it, is that going to be so advanced to where it would take daylight savings time into...
I don't know.
Actually, it wouldn't fucking matter. Now I think about it.
Right. I don't know. I mean, how long the day and the night, it just depends on how they implement nighttime.
Right.
It really depends.
You remember back in Star Wars Galaxies, we had cantinas, and they would have dancers and whatever, and they would buff you. That was their job. Do you think there should be something to that equivalent in EQN?
Well, a lot of that depends on how they do buffs, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
In a lot of recent games, which I don't like, buffs are group-based, so you can only buff yourself or your group. So you leave a group and you lose buffs from your group mates. I like the old-fashioned version where you can buff just anybody, like drive-by buffing. That was always kind of fun.
Yeah.
People are running by and you cast buffs on them as they go. That's what we used to do in EverQuest. But.
It was great because people, I mean, you can still do that in some games now. And I like doing that because then you get those people that just stop dead in their tracks and turn around and try to find who buffed them.
Right. But yeah, I mean, I like that type of environment. I really don't like the restrictive, we're going to really restrict buffs and how you do things and what you can do and when you can do it and where you can do it. And,
right.
Just for the love of God, leave it open.
Right, yeah, they seem to be, so far, everything seems to be do what you want, when you want, so far.
Right, that's kind of what I'm hoping.
And I really hope that, well, they did say that they're going to have, at release, 40 classes, so I really hope that, a baker or a dancer or something is going to be in that.
Right.
Because that's another aspect of the game that I really like. That's part of the social aspect of the game.
Right, right.
Really
and
cool.
I think that's actually going to be the case. That basically crafting classes and things like that are part of those 40.
Yeah.
Based on the Roundtable discussion that came out this week.
Which we will talk about towards the end, make you listen to all of it, and then you can hear the good stuff.
Right. we will make you listen and then give you the good stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, so I like basically... the dancing profession buffs or people, just being able to buff whoever. I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great social aspect. I don't know about the dancing class per se.
Or, a band, or you could have some dude on his little lute or whatever, just kind of...
Right, like a bard.
Yeah.
Something like that. Troubadour, bard, whatever you want to call it.
Interesting aspect to the bard class.
Right. Well, I mean, it does bring up some interesting ideas in Lord of the Rings Online. You can actually play music that other people can hear, and you can do keyboard shortcuts to certain notes. People macro that stuff and play songs for people.
Wow.
It's actually a huge thing in Lord of the Rings Online for some people. So it could be kind of a cool, twist to the game for, somebody. I mean, since you can basically choose a bunch of different classes and be those, it wouldn't necessarily have to be a skill that you'd have to pick up. You could pick up the class.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And then be able to choose different instruments or whatever, and then map keyboard shortcuts to notes and play songs or what have you.
Right, I know.
It could be pretty cool.
I know a few members who would stick to the skin flute. But, all right, this is going to be another quick cast, just to let you guys know. Now, do you think in those taverns, if they do have them, do you think they should be safe areas, or should there be faction-type battles allowed? Because if you remember, in the cantina in Mos Eisley, if you were flagged, depending on what faction you were, and you went into the cantina, the opposite faction would start attacking you in the cantina.
Right. That is true.
And I know it could be a little hectic, but I think it would be pretty cool to have it. And
right. Well, so in my opinion, I guess it depends on how they implement factions. So if they implement factions like they did in Star Wars Galaxies, that's cool. Basically, towns and cities didn't have faction one way or the other for the most part towards the factions themselves. The factions were player based, so you had obviously Empire and the Rebellion, but like in EverQuest, factions were race based, and depending on the city, you couldn't actually, like, if I was a Dark Elf, I couldn't actually go into some cities because they'd kill me on sight.
Right, like how Vanguard was before they dumbed it down. And
right.
that was really cool because when we were, one faction, we always wanted to go to Call. That was the main city to go to on Kalia, or Kali, whatever. And we had to kill so many of those rat guys.
I remember that. Before we could even go near the city, right?
Yeah, we would try to go in and nope, arrow to the knee, you're dead.
And then we would have to, we'd have to even kill more just to be able to get quests.
Exactly.
They wouldn't kill us, but we had to kill like 1,000 of them just to get our faction up.
And that was, a little tedious, but I found it fun as hell.
Right.
To be quite honest.
I love factions. I love having to do that. They did that in EverQuest, and it was strictly mob-based. There really weren't any quests that gave you much faction. I could be wrong about that. I just don't remember quests giving faction one way or the other.
Right.
In Vanguard, they did, which I think is a good thing, because it gives you a boost, a big chunk of faction one way or the other.
Yeah.
If you're trying to raise faction, I think that's a good idea. I think it would be kind of interesting, so you go to a city like, I don't know, Freeport as a dark elf in EverQuest Next, and, the guards kill you on sight, but you run around killing kobolds or orcs or whatever that are, around the city and causing havoc, and that gives you faction with the city, or you do like area quests at whatever they're going to have to help out without having to go to the town. And then, it's kind of like the city folk doing stuff to help them. That increases faction with them.
Right.
I think that's a really cool idea. It's a great aspect of the game. I think it's one of the things that made EverQuest stand out from a lot of games because, there are a lot of games today where, you can be any race and go to any city, and there's nothing like the feeling in EverQuest when you got too close to a guard, or you're, inching closer, a little bit closer, trying to get in range to see if you were aggro.
Right.
It's kind of like playing like tag or Monster Light when you're a kid. See how close you can get, or baseball, you're like edging off the base, see if you can get the pitcher to throw you out before you have to take off back to base. It's that excitement factor. You don't know what's going to happen sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
You don't know whether they're going to attack you.
They did touch a little bit on factions and quests and stuff, but we want to wait for more information before we actually tackle that topic.
Right.
But going back to the taverns and like the faction-based battles in the taverns, what I think they should probably do, and this would be really cool, is actually have like a back room to where they have underground fights going on. So it's actually like a mini tournament, and we used to do these around our guild city, have little in-guild tournaments, and you pay some money in, and all these people, they're ranked or whatever, just duke it out. I mean, have fisticuffs, have a separate set of skills just for fisticuffs, or all-out battles with your weapons and your magic or whatever. That would be really cool. And then the winner can get like a free ale or something. No, like the purse or whatever that's up there.
Right. Yeah, it could be cool. Little mini games in the game. I think that's very, very cool to do stuff like that. Yeah, so the faction type battles, I think it just depends on how they implement factions, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I mean, I definitely would like to see that in the game in some form.
Absolutely. This day and age, we asked the question, will the NPCs be fully voiced? All NPCs or just quest givers? Because we've gotten used to Star Wars The Old Republic where everything's voiced. All the games nowadays are practically voiced with subtitles. Who fucking reads anymore? Nobody got time for that, Right. What do you think of?
Well, it's funny that you asked this question because currently I'm playing Final Fantasy, A Realm Reborn, and there's a lot of quests and cutscenes that are not voiced.
Really?
And it's actually weird, because, I remember when nothing was voiced.
Right.
And you had to read everything, and I was used to it. But now that I've, gone between, voice quest givers and cutscenes and things, I don't like it. It's the voice really kind of helps the immersion.
Yeah.
Without voiced NPCs and quests, I think it breaks immersion, to be honest, because it reminds me that, oh my God, I'm not in the virtual world. I'm playing a game because I have to read what they're saying.
Right.
Their lips are moving, but there's no sound coming out.
Yeah.
And I realized that it's a huge expense and a cost to voice everything. But I think in this day and age, if you don't voice at least the quest givers and like the cutscenes, I mean, maybe not voice every single NPC,
right?
You're going to lose out. I even think that, even NPCs running around that talk to each other, I think those should be voiced.
Oh, absolutely. And static just around
right,
the town.
It really increases immersion because you're walking down the street and you hear two people talking.
Yeah. And by the way, everybody at SOE, I am a voiceover artist. So if you're looking for a cheap, non-union person, come to me. Adrift, VA.
Right.
Do it.
Yeah. And he's very good, too. So.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Hey, no problem.
Shameless plug in there for you.
Right.
If you want, just search Adrift VA, youtube.com/Adrift VA. And while we're plugging stuff, you can go ahead and email us at nightbreedcast@gmail.com for questions, or if you want to comment or whatever, or comment on the video too.
Yeah, you can comment on the YouTube channel or email us if you don't want anybody else to see it.
Yep, on the YouTube.
Right, on the YouTube. So the voiced, I think it's a must.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine playing a game that isn't voiced. It really, to me, it just flat out breaks immersion.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. Player chat. I miss chat bubbles. I really miss chat bubbles. I mean, yeah, if you got a whole wall of text, it can be a little annoying, but I don't want to have to, because in Star Wars: The Old Republic, they kind of screwed that up. I think chat bubbles are in now. I could be wrong, but it's like you see that on your screen, but you don't notice it until it's like 20 minutes later, and it was someone in front of you talking. Whereas if I had a chat bubble, I'd see a little chat bubble above their head, be like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" It's just the way they had it in Star Wars Galaxies was awesome, because if it was a private chat, you would see a little private bubble above their head, if I remember correctly. And general chat, I mean, it was spammed, but you could block those people or change the time it takes for it to fade away.
Right, and couldn't you also change like the range at where you see chat bubbles?
Yes, I believe you could.
Right. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I can take or leave chat bubbles, but I like the option. Just like, everything else, give me the option to use it or not use it.
Mm-hmm.
Because, for you, it's a huge thing. Like I might want to use it in group only, and I don't want to see anybody, spamming, that's just not in my group or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I think it should be an option.
Please.
But I think that we should be given the choice, obviously.
Yeah.
I also think it's kind of an alternative to like subtitles.
Yeah.
So instead of having subtitles, in like a cutscene or a quest giver, you could have chat bubbles instead, which I actually think I kind of prefer those to chat bubbles. I mean, to subtitles.
Right. Because
then you can actually really see who the heck is saying it without going, okay, which one is Bob?
Right. And, it might take away from the immersion of the game, but it's something I want to see come back, because it's just, I don't want to have to, like you said, search for the certain person or whatever. Because I think it's thanks to TeamSpeak, I barely look at my chat box.
Right. I'm the same way. But like I was going to say, I think chat bubbles are less immersion breaking than subtitles.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I grew up reading comics, and, when I talk to people...
It's natural.
Yeah, and I don't see a chat bubble above their head. This is real life we're talking about. I fucking freak out. Where's your chat bubble, mister?
You have no chat bubble? Come on!
What the hell, you commie? So, because only commies don't have chat bubbles. Remember that, SOE.
Right. Yes, because that's a telling sign. Yes, no chat bubble.
Speaking of not looking at your chat box, when we first started talking to Av here, I thought he was a dick because
right.
I'm talking.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because I had come from EverQuest, where we always used a voice chat server, and I'd look down, and 20, 30 minutes later, sometimes a couple of hours, I'd see, oh, somebody sent me a chat or said hi or whatever, and it'd be Eyes, 2 hours ago, and he'd logged off, an hour and a half before, after, So I felt horrible because he kept talking to me, and I would always miss him saying hi.
Yep, and then it's like when we finally started talking, we got a TeamSpeak, or he had a TeamSpeak and invited me into it with open arms. And I said, dude, I got to be honest, man. When I first tried to talk to you, I thought you were a dick, just ignoring me.
Right, which I thought was hysterical. I was just like, really? Why?
And thus, here we are 8-9 years later.
Right. Yeah. They explained it, and I'm like, oh, let me explain. I don't read.
I didn't even know it was my first MMO, so I'm like, voice chat? What's that? So.
Right. Yeah.
On the flip side, and the really, really annoying side, should player chat be fully voice communication?
I think I've spoken on this before.
Yes.
Only if you could have voice modulation.
Right, that would be really cool.
To be honest.
Yeah.
I think if you could do that so that, Bob playing a female character actually sounds like a female character and not Bob. It would not break immersion. Or, right. Bob's playing a Ratonga or a dwarf or, whatever. They sound like what I think that should sound like. I think that would be great.
That'd be
Otherwise,
really cool.
I wouldn't use it at all.
Yeah, I think
because it would be incredibly immersion breaking. Because I don't,
Right now, right. Would that have a heavy load on the servers though, and cause constant lag?
It depends where. Well, I mean, I would think that if you're going to do, the voice modulation, that would be on each person's computer that it would do that. So it would not have any more overhead than chat, period.
Oh, okay.
And if they set up separate chat servers, based on like area, just like they do zones. So you basically have a chat server per like area, even though it's going to be a zoneless,
right.
You still have kind of zones. You move from one area to another, and it kind of knows one server would take over or whatever.
Right. Okay. Yeah, we're busting through this because, like I said, we're on a time limit, and our last topic is probably going to be really long.
Right.
A pretty long discussion. So we don't know much, if anything, about the UI. But how should the player info bar be like? Should it just show you your health? Is there going to be mana management? Is there going to be mana in the game, or endurance, or power, or whatever? What do you think of?
It's a good question. I really don't know the answer to it. I'm a big fan of all of those things, just because maybe it's just because it's the traditional way to do it. I think because if you have a mana pool and you have to manage it, you only have so much, and I think it helps balance a game, as opposed to, not have, like say, casters not having a mana pool at all, and all you have is a timer refresh on spells.
Yeah.
So, and I also have to say that I hate global cooldown. I think it was the worst implementation and worst decision ever in any freaking game. Abilities should have cooldowns, but they shouldn't have the same cooldown timer. Period.
Right.
Global cooldown, bad idea.
We're looking at you, Star Wars, the Old Republic.
Right. The only reason it was ever implemented was to balance PvP, and I'm sorry, it's a horrible, horrible fix for an issue that is. Don't even get me started. Anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, mana management. Yeah, so I actually prefer mana pools, so a mana bar would be nice. I would like to be able to turn it on or off, which, once again, give me the choice. Like in a lot of games, you can turn health bars, mana bars, whatever above like the other group members, so you can see that, or you can turn it off. and you can only see it in like the group box. You do the same for yours, whether you want it off or on, and just see it, in your on-screen UI or whatever. But, I'm a big fan of having to manage those types of things. I don't like the idea of just having a cooldown timer.
Right.
Just because managing it that way is basically forcing somebody to play a character or class the way you want them to play the character or class, because they can only use this ability every 30 seconds, this one every 10 seconds, this one every 5.
Right.
The cast time or whatever is only a couple of seconds on each, but it's got a cooldown timer. And I'm like, just, make the spell have a huge mana cost or a huge, stamina cost or whatever.
Yeah.
That to me is half the fun. And that way, your gear or your buffs or whatever can boost those things, give you a bigger pool, give you a higher regen, which makes a huge difference, basically in a game. So you can basically build your character the way you want to build it. And those, obviously who have better gear or better buffs or whatever should be better. And it makes a huge difference, I think, in PvP. But if you want bland, then you do it the other way, and I'm just not a huge fan of it.
Yeah, it's like, that's the world we live in. No one's a loser. Everybody gets a trophy.
Yeah.
Don't get me
That's so ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh, God, my kid's going to have such culture shock. If my kid's a fucking loser, he's going to know he's a loser. Okay, so something that came out today was a roundtable discussion. We already hit this on our first cast, I believe.
Right.
1 guild per character. I think it should be per account, depending on how loyal you are to that certain guild. I demand blood when members come in to the fold, so yeah,
Right.
It is per account for me.
Right.
But on the light side, I'm going to touch this before we go into the discussion of what we don't like. On the light side of this, we did find out that any player can harvest anything in the world. So you don't have to just be able to harvest skins if you're a clothing maker or whatever. You can actually go out and mine as well. So there's going to be a lot of trading between people, which is going to be really cool. Also, we did find out you can be different. Well, so far, they didn't really confirm it, but you can be different crafting classes on a single character. Which
you should be able to be all of them.
Yeah, but and you should be able to only pick like advancing 1 or 2 of them, I think. So you should be able to do the basics of all of them. But then, so you have to go out and communicate to people to get something you want. That's not your profession. Right.
Well, it depends on how they implement it. So if it actually takes real effort to work up in crafting to be able to do anything in a certain profession, then I think you should be able to be all of them and be good at all of them. I mean, obviously, so here's the way you balance it. You balance it with time, so you just don't instantly create things. So it takes time to do something. And then resources. So you may be able to gather everything, but, it may be that, the component that you need for making metal stud is on a zone on the other side of the world. So you actually have to trade with somebody or go there to get it and then make the stud as a blacksmith and then craft your studded leather armor or whatever. I mean, I think it should be doable, but if you make it time consuming and more cost effective to actually trade or buy it from somebody than to, spend 2-3 hours to craft all this crap just to make, the armor, the leather armor you want as like a clother, whatever you want to call it. You make leather and cloth armor, whatever. Then I think that would be cool. I don't see a huge issue with it. Just, especially if you make a lot of diversity. So if you have, if you only have like 3 crafting classes, then you could be all of them and make stuff and, it would be kind of ridiculous. But like let's say you have a weaver that makes cloth items only, then you have a leather crafter who only makes items out of leather, and then you have a blacksmith that can make basic metal things, and then you have your armor smith that makes armor, and then you have your weaponsmith that makes weapons, and maybe those are an advanced class off of blacksmith. whatever, and then you can go on down the line. I have a jeweler that makes jewelry, gemsmith, they make gems that the jewelers need. If you diversify into a bunch of crafting classes, then you're really not going to have time to be able to do all of that. And that's going to be your constraint. I don't see an issue with being able to do all that.
Okay.
If you want to, because some people, that all they want to do is craft.
Yeah.
So if that's all they want to do, I wholeheartedly want them to be able to craft anything and everything they possibly want.
That's cool. Yeah, this is our first topic that we don't completely agree on.
Right,
but
right.
We're going to have a fight and break
It
up.
happens. No, I'm going to speak to you for a week. No.
Not until next Tuesday.
Yeah.
But,
right.
No, you did make some really, really good points. But, the way I see it is, go ahead and be able to craft all the basic crap, but then be able to pick one profession that you want to be, and then that's your one profession.
Right. Maybe you have a bunch of basic crafting classes, like blacksmith, and then advanced classes are limited based on whatever.
Yeah.
You can only pick one of the advanced I don't know.
Yeah, but seeing how the game and multi-classing is going to be, I think it's going to be more so the way you mentioned.
Yeah, so. Probably. The way they were talking in the roundtable discussion is kind of what I thought. So
right. Speaking of, we'll get to that. We still think it should be one guild per character, or since the more
I think it should be one guild per account.
Per account, yeah. They seem to be going a completely different route, and I will let Ob take it away, and I will take a nap.
Right, yeah, because I'm going to go on and on and on about this. So they basically wanted people to be in multiple guilds, which if that's what you want to do, I have no problem with that. But the problem I have with it is this. And we talked about this the first time.
Yeah.
So if, say, you're in a raiding guild, right? Mm-hmm. And then you're in our guild, and then you're in a crafting guild, and that's all they do is build stuff. There's nothing to stop these people from raiding your guild bank and then taking it to the other guild.
Yep.
And that's why I have an issue, and people will do that. That's why I have an issue with the multiple guild. I think if guilds want to allow that, that's cool. But I think here's what I want. If they want people to be in multiple guilds, awesome. But I want the ability to mark my guild as one guild per character or one guild per account. Yeah. And if the person doesn't like it, they won't join my guild.
Also, there needs to be some sort of filter so that if someone is already in another guild, a little thing will pop up saying, you are in another guild. Would you like to leave that current guild and join this guild?
Right. And I see what they're modeling it after. They're basically in Guild Wars 2, you could be in multiple guilds, and then you would set which one you were representing at any one time.
Oh, that's stupid.
And they would get the benefit of your experience or whatever. And I just, if you want to be in multiple guilds, they don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with that. But for the love of God, just like players should have the choice, guild leaders need to have that voice and choice, because there is no way, especially if you can't see or that character is in another guild, or you have no way to find out if their account has multiple characters on multiple guilds, then I don't think that's fair to the guild who wants to restrict that.
Right. And
that's the problem I have with it. I don't have a problem with people in guilds who don't care, but there are guilds who do care.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And and that's my issue. Give me the choice to restrict it by my guild and the settings in the guild, and then I don't have a problem with whatever you do. But I have a serious problem with, for obvious reasons that we've already stated, basically with people taking crap out of your guild bank and using it for another guild, which they do and they will do.
Right. Yeah. And it's just, I think it's a really dumb idea. Oh God, it just it really makes me mad. Well, if they're going to implement this, then have it be labeled and have it on specific servers so that those people that want to be in multiple guilds will be on different servers than the ones that want to be in single guilds. Yeah, you'll have that. Who knows? Maybe more people want to be in multiple guilds and less people in single guilds. So there's got to be a system probably like you said, Av, that That would work perfectly well. And then just have it flag up when someone in multiple guilds tries to join our guild or whatever. Something pops up. You need to quit these guilds before you can join this guild. And this is a permanent situation. You cannot
in order to join another guild, they would have to leave ours.
Yes, absolutely. None of that. Join our guild and then be able to go into other guilds. No. No back doors. Okay. The lube is put away. Chastity belts on. No back doors. There was one guy, actually, who commented on the video, and he made a really, really good point. His name is Josh Pedrick, and he said, from the perspective of a guild leader, multi-guilding destroys the commitment and loyalty that makes running guilds worthwhile. We don't pour our time, energy, and hearts into making guilds work for people to blow around in the breeze. That guy is awesome. I liked his comment. I gave him a thumbs up.
100% agree with what he said. Absolutely.
I commented, couldn't have said it better myself. That is a guild leader. That is exactly what we were thinking, and it just it will destroy guilds.
I mean, it's these people who come and go that are transient in guilds that have a bad attitude. They don't care. They don't help the guild out. They don't do this. They don't participate.
Like people who want to count their Pearsons, if anybody remembers that's listening.
Right. And you have to go through those people to find the good guildies that stick around. Yeah. I mean, because unfortunately it's a numbers game to get the good guild members a lot of times. And if they can be in multiple guilds, there's no reason why they would leave.
Yeah.
So they're sticking around,
not contributing, just being a load.
Right. And like he said, there is no commitment then, because you can do whatever you want whenever you want, go to, whatever. And, especially for raiding guilds. I mean, oh, good God, it's a horrible idea. I'm of the thought process, find a guild that fits you. If you want to raid, find a raiding guild. If you kind of craft a little bit, there's going to be people who craft in a raiding guild.
Yeah, and what Jeff Butler said about if that person has questions or needs more knowledge, they're going to go to a crafting guild. No, they're going to ask their current guild members. If they don't know, there's general chat or crafters chat.
Or they're going to Google it.
Yeah, I mean, come on. It's not going to be, oh, you guys don't know anything, I'm going to leave. You are going to have people like that. But this game's going to be a learning experience for everybody. So everyone's going to be learning at the same pace, some more than others, because some, actually pay attention. I don't pay attention to shit I'm doing. So it takes me a little longer. But I always make the effort to find, if a guild member comes to me with a question, I always take that effort to find out for them and let them know. Or if I don't feel like it, I'll just be like, you know what? Ask so-and-so, because they've been tapping into that and they know more about it.
I just thought about something that is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I really, really, really loved about Age of Conan was the fact that you could basically, as a guild, claim a stake and start building a guild keep. Right. Yeah. So it was this massive structure that took, X amount of stone per whatever structure, and you were constantly pouring money and resources and building it up. So any guild, raiding or otherwise, is going to probably want to do this.
Yeah.
So they're going to want to build a keep. So there's your crafting right there. If you want to craft a massive structure, there's going to be people that are contributing and doing this in the guild. Because you can't raid 24/7.
No,
it's not possible.
No. And for anybody who's looking for a guild, you hear how we talk. So yeah, there's that. But we don't really PvP. Yes, we got a couple people who like to do that. So if you're okay with not PvPing all the time, maybe once in a blue moon, and we try raiding, what is it, maybe once, twice a week, if that.
Right, because usually everybody in our guild,
we have families.
Jobs.
Yeah.
Jobs and families, and you can't do it more than, and we try to stay somewhat small so that it's manageable.
Yes, because if you do that, those massive recruitings, you're going to have people that fall in the cracks, and then you're just, you'll ignore them. It's dumb.
Right. One of the things that we like to do is we like to group with everybody that we recruit.
Yes.
And, for like a week or so to get to know them and see if before they actually really join, if they're going to work out or not.
Yep.
And when we were playing the old Star Wars: The Old Republic, we had 4 or 5, maybe 6 guildies that PvP'd all the time.
Yeah.
And they did it together. I mean, we have no issue with that. In fact, I think it's great. I think great when you have a group of guildies or a couple of groups of guildies who are into the same thing, and then you can basically, so find one of those people that's really knowledgeable in the PvP scene, and then you kind of make them the officer of PvP for the guild,
right?
And they're the ones that take care of all of that because they're knowledgeable. And then you do the same thing for crafting, you do the same thing for raiding. That's just the way it kind of works. You build your guild up and you amass the people and the knowledge that you need to create a guild. I don't want to be a guild that just raids. I don't want to be a guild that just PvPs. I don't want to be a guild that just builds stuff.
Yeah,
I want
to do a little bit of everything.
All of it.
Yeah.
Right.
And then, sometimes I do PvP and then the bloodlust hits, but then I get really, really, really pissed if I constantly die.
Right. I do too, which is why I don't PvP much anymore.
Right. It's a scary, scary trail to lead me down into. So, yeah. But going off of that, you're going to want that mesh of people because you don't want just crafting guilds knowing how to craft. You don't want just raiding guilds knowing what to do during raids. You want that mix and match of people because that's what's going to make your game. That's what's going to make your community.
Diversity is the spice of life. If everybody in your guild does the same thing, it's boring.
Exactly. Especially if you do the same fucking flashpoints.
Oh
my
God.
Okay, Star Wars: The Old Republic was fun up until a certain level endgame content, and you're doing the same 4 fucking flashpoints over and over, and the same operations over and over. Yeah, and then they come out with like new ones every, 6 months. It was
monotonous.
Yeah, it was fun to play up until that point. Up until you beat all that, it's like, well, fuck, now what? Because they didn't think they did not make it a virtual world. They did not put in that extra shit that Star Wars Galaxies had, that Vanguard had. They didn't do that. So it was all just, it was a single player game that, hey, maybe you could play with your friends. But no, you got a fucking companion you could take with. Enough with the fucking companions. I'm sick of fucking companions. All right?
Yeah.
I've got my friends. That's why I play MMOs, so I can play with my friends. Now a fucking AI. Stop it.
Right, exactly. And I want to craft. I want to gather. I don't want my companions to do that. I just think it's horrible.
Yes, I'm sorry for going on that tirade.
If I'm rich, then, and I don't want to go and gather.
I'll pay someone
Maybe
else.
I could hire an NPC or something to do it.
No, not even hire.
I want to be able to do it myself. I want the choice.
Not even hire an NPC. There's going to be a lot of people who need money in the EQN.
Right.
So
exactly.
Take out contracts.
So you find a player and say, hey, I'll pay you a gold for every skin or whatever of this that you can get.
Have it be like a bulletin board. You know how, like in Witcher 2, you have those bulletin boards to take jobs. Post something on there. It's not a bazaar. It's not an auction house. It's an information board. So and so is looking for this many skins, and it automatically ticks down because then you can. That character can edit it and say, I have this many, this is how many I need left. That would be fucking cool.
Yeah, right. So if you could tie that in, basically with the way Star Wars Galaxies worked, on the vendors, you could actually set them up to buy crap.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I remember that
So basically
now.
You post on the board that, so-and-so needs, or I don't care. If you have 20,000, I'll take 20,000, 40, whatever, limited or not, and say, I'll pay you a gold for every one of these skins you get. And I'm so-and-so, my house is here. Here's my address. You go and you can either deal with the person or you sell it to their vendor.
That would be great.
And voila, guess what? You have an economy.
Yup. None of these fucking, oh my God, the money pits that you get, just to...
money sinks. I am so sick and tired of these fake money sinks just to remove money and items out of the world. There are so many better ways to do that through, like what I was saying. You can break things down for components or magic dust or whatever. You get rid of items that way, create an economy.
Or going back to the taverns, if EQN turns out to be an adult-based game, have fucking strip taverns. Fuck. Have stripper, pole dancer, whatever, lap dancer be one of the professions. And have... Yeah! Fuck! Come on, Ab, let's make this game.
Oh, I don't think that'll happen.
Yeah,
but, it's an awesome idea.
I know, right?
But yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, it's just like it's like in Star Wars Galaxies. You have the dancers, the entertainers as a profession. They could buff and heal you and do things like that.
Yep.
Make the game have a real economy and make players rely on each other. And the way to do that is not to have these, servers that can only have like 1,000 people or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That just really kills the economy and the server when you limit the amount of people on it, because basically during off-peak times, like if you have an Eastern server and you only allow so many people on it, then you've killed it. Like I was playing Final Fantasy and I was on the server Sunday night at 10 o'clock trying to do these area quests, and there was nobody there, so I couldn't even do them.
Right, yeah. So
it's just pointless.
We really don't know what kind of server technology they're going to do.
Right.
So,
but if they're doing zoneless,
yeah,
there is no reason, with today's technology, that you can't have massive servers with thousands and thousands of people on them.
I'm going to go ahead and name them Bethesda with their Elder Scrolls Online game, which...
Right. Well, and they're dealing with that with, like, phasing technology, basically.
Yeah, they're networking a bunch of servers together to make one massive server.
Right. Well, and I kind of like the idea, and here's why I like the idea that they came up with. So... basically, if I like to PvP and I basically make that part of my profile, then I am going to basically be pushed into instances where people have also checked that. If I am a crafter and don't like to PvP and I've checked that and not checked PvP, then I'm going to tend to be in a phase with those crafters, and the PvPers will be in another phase, so I don't even be able to see them.
Right.
Or like if, you're in a guild, then you're going to tend to be in the same phases with your guild members. If you're in a group, you're going to go into the same phases as the group you're in. And that way you can have thousands and thousands of people on a server, and it's basically, instead of a server, it technically is running on a separate server, whether it's a virtual server or a physical server, but it's separated by a phase, and you can change that phase. So basically, if there's less people on, then maybe it's going to join some of those phases together so that, you're not the only person in that phase.
Or, keep it the way it is and have, a cap of 2,000 people or whatever, but also have an in-game kind of browser type window, one that doesn't really slow your game down or take forever to load.
Right.
And if you need something, no one's on your server, there's a, like I said, a bulletin board, have it that way maybe, have it in the game, pop up a window, I'm looking for such and such, or I'm looking to do this, and then have some way to communicate, and then these two people or whatever can meet somewhere, and it's just kind of like a cross-server type thing, but they meet in a certain area that allows cross-server communication and meetings, I guess.
Right.
I don't know.
Maybe towns are like that, if they're a neutral zone.
Yeah.
I can see that. Yeah. There's all kinds of things that you can do with the technology of today.
Yeah.
Not to sound like a commercial, but...
the technology of today.
So there's all kinds of things you can do to get around that. I know, and maybe at parts it sounded like we were kind of attacking Jeff Butler. No. We disagree with this one idea. We think all of his other ideas that we've heard are awesome.
Yeah.
So we're just very adamant about, the one character per guild or one guild per account.
Yeah. Sorry
we
to
think we
yell
should
at
have
you.
the choice.
Sorry to yell at you, Jeff, Mr. Butler. I didn't mean to. Please don't find
you
me
know.
when I log in and kill me instantly.
He might.
Probably.
He might be a PvPer, and he's going to come find you, and
I know.
you know, because he's developer flag your character as PvP and just kill you over and over and over.
Yeah,
again,
yeah. Sitting in the tavern or using
Take that!
using
Take that for not liking my ideas.
using ye little boy's outhouse, and then all of a sudden I die from a heart attack because anyway.
Right,
So
right. Pushes over the outhouse while you're in it.
yeah, exactly. No, that'd be gross. That'd be awesome. Put it in the
Get covered
game.
with virtual poo. Yeah,
Put it in the game. Anyway, you got to go though, don't you?
yeah, I do. I need
right.
to get going.
All right. Well, that's about it. Thanks for tuning in, and I've been Eyes Adrift,
This is Avigo.
and we'll see you next time. Thanks.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the Nightbreed Cast with your hosts, Eyes Adrift and Avago. From all of us at the Nightbreed Studios, thanks for listening. And as always, thank you, Internet.